My name is Wayne Terrell, and I am a part of Profound Gentlemen, or PG, an organization that supports the longevity of educators of color. The overall mission of PG is to support educators of color, so in turn, they can provide a profound experience for boys of color. The challenge for PG is to continue to increase the 2% of black male educators in our nation today. We believe by providing extensive support through impact leaders, this gives educators of color an opportunity to receive adequate support in the classroom. The impact leaders provide educators of color with action steps for supporting their personal and professional goals. They also provide support emotionally and socially by hosting weekly socials and by sending daily inspirational messages to fellow educators of color. Overall, Profound Gentlemen gives educators necessary support in order to improve in the field of education and to improve in their social lives. Now I would like to explain a solution that I would provide to one of my fellow educators if I were their impact leader. One of my fellow educators is one of the few black people in the building, and one of his black male students shared some confidential information with him regarding a situation. But one of his fellow white colleagues overheard the conversation and reported my fellow educator's comments as being quote unquote hood and quote unquote unprofessional. Later, his principal told him to be mindful of his interactions with students, despite personal relationships. And here we are. My educator is upset and now fed up with his school. If I were his impact leader, I would first empathize with him because a similar situation occurred at the first school I taught at. Second, I would tell him to not stress over things he cannot control and to focus on what is in his locus of control. In other words, he needs to be sure that he holds private conversations with his students in a place that is not just safe for him, but that is also safe for the student, meaning no one else should be able to hear their conversation. Also, I would tell him to tell his students that when they have personal conversations, when they quote unquote keep it real, that those conversations must not leave the room. And lastly, I would suggest that when quote unquote keeping it real with students, that we as educators try speaking to our students we try not to speak to our students like our peers, but to speak to them in a way that they are still able to understand. Next, I have to imagine that I have been given a new task that PG would like to implement in a 1-week deadline. However, my impact plans are also due in 4 days, and I only have 4 out of 16 complete. And 3 of my educators called and canceled their one-on-one sessions. Lastly, I was invited by a school partner to attend an event over the upcoming weekend. With that being said, now I have to pretend like I am an impact leader and prioritize my time to address the aforementioned task. First, I would wake up an hour early, 4:30, and go to bed an hour later, 10:30, to ensure that I have 14 additional hours in an entire week to do the following task. Schedule earlier or later impact plan meetings, including weekends, and work on the new PG task. I would also be willing to revise my wake up and bedtime according to the availability of my educators for their plans. Next, I would send an email, text, and a group me message to reschedule times for the 3 educators who canceled their one-on-one sessions, just to be sure that they received my message. I would then be sure to emphasize the fact that I am flexible with times due to the upcoming deadline. And I would give them a response deadline of 24 hours so I could also plan accordingly. Then after receiving the up-to-date meeting times, I would plan additional time to complete the new PG task before Friday afternoon. Lastly, I would review the schedule for the upcoming event with the school partner, and plan to have impact plan meetings between the scheduled times during the event, so I could also continue to use my time accordingly. With the following steps in place, all the tasks will be able to be effectively accomplished. Thank you for your time.